My beloved child, before you continue listening, I want you to stop for just a moment. Not because I have come to place another responsibility on your shoulders, not because I am asking you to try harder, not because I expect more from you today, but because I have noticed something perhaps no one else has seen. You are tired, not the kind of tired that disappears after a good night's sleep, not the kind of tired that a vacation can fix. You are tired in your soul. You have been carrying burdens that have quietly grown heavier with each passing day, and somewhere deep inside, you have started wondering, how much longer can I keep doing this? Perhaps you have never spoken those words aloud. Perhaps every morning you still smile, you still go to work, you still take care of your family, you still answer messages, you still show up for people, you still say, I'm fine. But my child, I know the truth. I know how exhausted you really are. I know about the nights when your body is lying in bed, but your mind refuses to rest. I know about the mornings when getting out of bed feels harder than it used to. I know about the silent moments when you stare into the distance, not because you are lazy, but because your heart has been carrying more than it was ever created to carry. My beloved child, you have become so used to being strong for everyone else that you no longer know how to admit when you are weak. People come to you because they think you have everything together. They lean on you. They depend on you. They expect you to keep going. And because you love them, you do, even when your own heart is quietly falling apart. You have carried responsibilities that no one noticed. You have hidden tears that no one saw. You have whispered prayers that no one heard. You have kept walking, even when every step felt heavier than the last. My child, I have seen every one of those steps. Not one of them has escaped my attention. Not one silent prayer has gone unheard. Not one hidden tear has fallen unnoticed. I have been beside you, even when you believed you were carrying everything alone. Perhaps lately, you have even felt guilty for being so tired. You tell yourself, I should be stronger. Other people have it worse. I just need to push a little harder. I can't stop now. But my child, who told you that your value depends on how much you can endure? Who told you that being faithful means never feeling weary? Who told you that trusting me means pretending everything is okay? It was never me. Because I never asked my children to hide their burdens from me. I invited them to bring those burdens to me. There is a reason my word says, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Notice what I did not say. I did not say, come to me after you have solved every problem. I did not say, come to me once you become strong enough. I did not say, come to me after you stop struggling. I simply said, come to me, exactly as you are, tired, confused, overwhelmed, discouraged. Even if your faith feels weak, even if your prayers have become quiet, even if you feel like you have nothing left to give, my child, you never have to earn the right to rest in my presence. It has always been my invitation. Please stay with me, because there is something I need you to understand. There is a difference between carrying your cross and carrying burdens I never asked you to carry. Some of the weight on your shoulders was placed there by fear, some by guilt, some by regret, some by unrealistic expectations, some by trying to control things that only I can control, some by constantly trying to make everyone happy, some by believing that if you stop, everything will fall apart. My beloved child, what if I told you, the world does not keep turning because you hold it together. It keeps turning because I do. You have been trying to carry tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. You have been replaying yesterday while worrying about next week. You have been carrying everyone else's emotions while quietly ignoring your own. No wonder you are exhausted. You were never created to live that way. My child, look at a child walking beside a loving father. When the child becomes tired, the father does not become disappointed. He bends down, he reaches out, and he says, "Come here." The child does not become weaker because he allows himself to be carried. He becomes safer. Why then, do you believe that allowing me to carry you is a sign of weakness? My child, rest is not weakness. Rest is trust. Rest is saying, "Lord, I cannot do this by myself anymore." And do you know something beautiful? That is not a prayer I reject. That is a prayer I welcome. Because the moment you stop pretending to be strong enough on your own, you make room for my strength to become visible. The Apostle Paul learned this truth when he pleaded with me to remove the thorn from his life. Instead of removing it immediately, I answered him with words that still carry hope today. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. My child, notice that I did not say, my power is made perfect in your perfection. I said, my power is made perfect in your weakness. That means the place you have been trying so hard to hide may actually become the place where my presence shines the brightest. So stop believing the lie that you must always appear unshaken. Stop believing the lie that asking for my help means you have failed. Stop believing the lie that you are disappointing me because you are tired. You are not disappointing me. You are simply carrying too much. And I never intended for you to carry it alone. Please don't leave yet. Because in the next part, I want to reveal something that may completely change the way you see your exhaustion. You have been blaming yourself for being so weary, but what if much of the weight crushing your heart was never yours to carry in the first place? My beloved child, stay with me, because now I want to show you something that may explain why your heart has become so weary. You have spent so much time asking, Lord, why am I so tired? Why can't I seem to find peace anymore? Why does everything feel so heavy? Perhaps you assumed something was wrong with your faith. Perhaps you blamed yourself. Perhaps you even wondered if you had disappointed me. But my child, what if your exhaustion is not the result of weak faith, but of carrying weights that were never yours to carry? Please hear me carefully. Not every burden resting on your shoulders came from me. Some of it was placed there by fear, some by guilt, some by expectations, some by the pressure to be everything for everyone, some by trying to solve problems that only I can solve. And because you are a loving person, you picked them up, one after another, until eventually you forgot what it felt like to walk freely. My child, imagine a traveler preparing for a long journey. He begins with only what he truly needs. The road is difficult, but manageable. Then someone hands him another bag. He takes it. Another person asks him to carry something else. He says yes. Soon, he is carrying things that do not belong to him. The journey becomes slower. His shoulders ache. His knees weaken. His joy disappears. The road has not become longer. His load has simply become heavier. My child, how much of what you are carrying today actually belongs to someone else? How much anxiety are you carrying for tomorrow? How much guilt are you carrying from yesterday? How many conversations do you replay over and over, wishing you had said something different? How many situations do you keep trying to control, even though they are completely beyond your reach? Please think about it. You have been trying to carry your children's future, your family's happiness, your financial security, other people's opinions, the outcome of every decision, the answers to every prayer, the healing of every relationship, the timing of every blessing. My child, those things were never placed into your hands. They have always remained safely in mine. Yet every day, you reach up and try to take them back. No wonder you are exhausted. You are trying to sit in a place that only belongs to God. Please don't misunderstand me. I am not asking you to stop caring. Love cares deeply. Compassion serves faithfully. Responsibility matters. But there is a difference between carrying responsibility and carrying the weight of being in control. One is obedience. The other is a burden I never asked you to bear. My child, you cannot control every outcome. You cannot force every door to open. You cannot heal every broken heart. You cannot fix every mistake. You cannot prevent every disappointment, and you were never expected to. That has always been my responsibility, not yours. Please stay with me. Think about Martha. She loved serving. She wanted everything to be perfect. She worked. She hurried. She worried. She carried more and more upon herself. Meanwhile, Mary simply sat at my feet, listening, resting, receiving. Martha eventually became frustrated, not because serving was wrong, but because she had allowed the burden to become greater than her trust. So I gently reminded her, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. My child, how often could I lovingly say the same to you? My child, you are worried about many things, not because I wish to criticize you, but because I long to free you. You have been trying to predict tomorrow, protect everyone, prevent every problem, prepare for every possibility, and somewhere along the way, you stopped resting in me. Please hear what I am about to say. Faith is not carrying everything until you collapse. Faith is placing everything into my hands and trusting that I love your life even more than you do. That is why my word says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Notice the word all, not some. Not only the spiritual burdens, not only the important ones, all. The fear, the uncertainty, the sleepless nights, the unanswered prayers, the financial pressure, the family struggles, the hidden loneliness, the questions you are afraid to ask anyone else. Bring all of it to me, my child. You have become so accustomed to carrying heavy burdens that peace almost feels unfamiliar. When life becomes quiet, you search for something else to worry about. When one problem is solved, your mind immediately creates another. Not because you lack faith, but because worry has quietly become a habit, and habits can feel normal, even when they are hurting you. Please don't leave yet, because I want to reveal something beautiful. The enemy has convinced you that if you worry enough, you can somehow protect the future. But worry has never changed tomorrow. It has only stolen today. It has never added strength to your soul. It has only drained the strength you already had. My child, I have never asked you to carry tomorrow before it arrives. I only ask you to walk with me today. One step, one prayer, one moment of trust at a time. The burden becomes lighter, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. Please stay with me, because in the next part, I want to reveal one life-changing truth. You have believed that being strong means carrying everything by yourself, but I am about to show you that true strength has never been about carrying more. True strength begins the moment you finally let me carry what you cannot. My beloved child, stay with me, because now we have reached the moment I have been leading you toward since the beginning of this message. If you remember only one truth after today, remember this: I never asked you to be this strong. Please, let those words settle into your heart. I never asked you to carry every burden. I never asked you to solve every problem. I never asked you to keep pretending everything was okay. Somewhere along the journey, you quietly began believing that faith meant never getting tired, that trusting me meant never feeling overwhelmed, that loving your family meant carrying everyone's pain, that being responsible meant fixing everything yourself. But my child, Those expectations never came from me. They came from fear. They came from pride disguised as responsibility. They came from the lie that everything depends on you. Please hear me carefully. The strongest people are often the ones who struggle the most to let me help them. Not because they do not love me, but because they have spent their entire lives believing, if I don't carry this, who will? So they keep carrying, even when their shoulders ache, even when their hearts grow weary, even when they secretly wish someone would simply say, you don't have to do this anymore. My child, today I am saying exactly that. You don't have to do this anymore. Please stay with me. Imagine a little child trying to carry a table across the room. The child strains with all their strength. Their arms shake. Their face grows red. They become frustrated because the table refuses to move. All the while, the father stands only a few steps away, watching with love. Finally, the father walks over and says, "Why didn't you ask me?" The child quietly answers, "I thought I had to do it myself." My beloved child, how many times have I watched you struggle the same way? Not because I refused to help, not because I was far away, but because you believed asking for my help meant you had failed. That has never been true. Asking for my help has always been an act of faith. Please don't miss this. The enemy has spent years teaching you that independence is strength, but my kingdom teaches something completely different. Dependence on me is strength, because when you finally reach the end of your own strength, you begin discovering mine. That is why Paul could say, "When I am weak, then I am strong." At first, those words sound impossible. How can weakness become strength? Because Paul had learned something many people never understand. His confidence no longer came from himself. It came from me. My child, think about the branch of a tree. Does it struggle to produce fruit by itself? No. It simply remains connected to the vine. The life does not come from the branch. It flows through the branch. That is exactly how I created you to live. Not by producing endless strength from within yourself, but by remaining connected to me. Yet somewhere along the way, you began living as though you were expected to become the vine. You tried to become everyone's source of strength, everyone's answer, everyone's solution, everyone's support. And while you were busy holding everyone else together, no one knew you were quietly falling apart inside. My child, I knew. I saw the smile that hid the exhaustion. I saw the conversations where you said, "I'm okay," even though your heart whispered, "I'm not okay anymore." I saw the nights when you cried without making a sound. I saw the mornings when you stood in front of the mirror trying to convince yourself, just make it through one more day. You never had to hide those moments from me. I was there, every single time. Please stay with me, because I want to ask you something. What would happen if, for just one day, you stopped trying to carry everything? What would happen if you finally admitted, "Lord, I don't have enough strength"? Would I reject you? Would I be disappointed? Would I tell you to try harder? No, my child. I would do exactly what I have always done. I would draw closer, because I have never been attracted by your performance. I have always been moved by your surrender. Please think about Elijah. After one of the greatest victories of his life, he became completely exhausted. So exhausted that he asked to die. Did I rebuke him? Did I tell him he lacked faith? No. Before I spoke to his calling, I cared for his exhaustion. I let him rest. I gave him food. I gave him water. I strengthened his body before I spoke to his future. My child, that is my heart toward you. Sometimes the holiest thing you can do is rest in my presence. Not because your work no longer matters, but because your soul matters too. You have spent so much time believing that I only cared about what you accomplish, but I care about you, not your productivity, not your achievements, not your ability to keep going. You, my beloved child. That is why I never measure your worth by how much you produce. I measure it by something far greater. You are my child, and that has never changed. Whether you feel strong today, or whether you can barely take another step, you are still my beloved. Please hear this truth. Your exhaustion does not disqualify you. Your weakness does not disappoint me. Your tears do not make me turn away. If anything, they remind you where your true strength has always been found. This is the big reveal. You were never meant to carry life by yourself. You were created to walk with me, to lean on me, to rest in me, to receive strength from me. The world tells you, be stronger. I tell you, come closer. The world says, keep pushing. I say, come and rest. The world says, hide your weakness. I say, bring it to me. Because my child, the miracle is not that you never become tired. The miracle is that you never have to face your weariness alone. Please don't leave yet. Because in the next part, I want to show you what begins to happen when you stop striving to hold everything together and finally discover the deep, lasting rest that only my presence can give. Because the life I promised you was never meant to be lived in constant exhaustion. It was meant to be lived walking beside me. My beloved child, stay with me. Because now I want to speak to one of the greatest misunderstandings many of my children carry. You have been afraid to rest, not because you do not want peace, but because somewhere inside your heart, you believe that if you stop, everything will fall apart. You believe that if you are not constantly thinking, planning, working, worrying, fixing, preparing, then somehow you are being irresponsible. My child, who taught you that rest is the opposite of faith? It was never me. Because true rest is one of the deepest expressions of faith. Please hear me carefully. Rest is not giving up. Rest is giving over. There is a difference. Giving up says, nothing will ever change. Giving over says, Lord, I trust you with what I cannot carry. Giving up is hopelessness. Giving over is surrender. Giving up walks away from me. Giving over walks into my arms. My child, never confuse surrender with defeat. One leads to despair, the other leads to peace. Please stay with me. Imagine a little child walking through a crowded airport with their father. The child carries a small backpack. The father carries the heavy suitcases. The child never worries about the tickets, the destination, the passport, the route. The child simply walks beside the one who already knows the way. Now imagine that child suddenly insisting, give me all the luggage, I'll carry everything. The father would never agree. Not because the child lacks value, but because the weight would crush them. My beloved child, that is exactly what you have been trying to do. You have been trying to carry responsibilities that belong to your father. The future, the outcome, the timing, the answers, the healing, the provision, the breakthrough. Those have always rested safely in my hands, not yours. Yet every day, you try to lift what only I was meant to carry. No wonder your soul feels so tired. Please hear this truth. The enemy has convinced many people that constant pressure means they are making progress. But pressure without my peace will eventually break even the strongest heart. That is why I created the Sabbath, not because I become tired, but because you do. The Sabbath was never meant to be another religious obligation. It was my loving reminder that the world continues turning. Even when you stop working, it was my way of teaching my children, you are not the one holding everything together. I am. My child, think about how many times you have gone to sleep worried about tomorrow. You lay awake rehearsing conversations that have not happened, imagining problems that do not yet exist, trying to solve situations you cannot control. Meanwhile, tomorrow quietly waits in my hands. Before you ever open your eyes in the morning, I am already there. Before the phone rings, I am already there. Before the meeting begins, I am already there. Before the doctor's appointment, I am already there. Before the difficult conversation, I am already there. My child, why are you trying to arrive before the God who has already gone ahead of you? Please stay with me, because there is something beautiful I want you to understand. Rest is not found because life suddenly becomes easy. Rest is found because you finally stop believing that everything depends on you. Remember the storm on the Sea of Galilee. The disciples were terrified. The waves crashed against the boat. The wind screamed around them. Experienced fishermen believed they were about to die. And where was I? Sleeping. Not because I did not care, not because I ignored their fear, but because I knew something they did not yet understand. The storm was never greater than my authority. My child, the disciples looked at the storm. I looked beyond it. The disciples measured the waves. I measured the Father's power. Today, you are standing in your own storm: financial pressure, family conflict, health concerns, loneliness, uncertainty. And just like those disciples, you keep asking, Lord, don't you care, my beloved child? If I did not care, I would not be speaking to your heart right now. If I did not care, I would not have carried you through every season that almost broke you. If I did not care, you would not still be here. Please don't mistake my calmness for my absence. I am calm because I already know the ending. You panic because you only see one chapter. I remain at peace because I hold the entire story. Please hear me. You have been asking me to increase your strength. Perhaps today, I am inviting you into something even better. Not greater strength, greater trust. Because trust will carry you farther than human strength ever could. Strength eventually becomes exhausted. Trust keeps walking. Strength depends upon your energy. Trust depends upon my faithfulness. Strength says, I have to keep holding on. Trust says, God is already holding me. My child, can you imagine how much lighter your heart would become if every morning you began with this prayer? Father, today I will do what you ask me to do, and I will leave everything else in your hands. Can you imagine the peace that would begin growing inside your soul? Not because every problem disappeared, but because you finally stopped carrying tomorrow before tomorrow arrived. That is the rest I have always wanted to give you. Not merely rest for your body, rest for your heart, rest for your mind, rest for your soul. Please don't leave yet, because in the final part, I want to leave you with one promise that I pray will remain in your heart long after this message ends. A promise for every weary morning, every sleepless night, every difficult season. A promise that will remind you that you never have to prove your strength to earn my love. You only have to come to me, because my beloved child, I am still waiting, with open arms, ready to carry what you no longer can. My beloved child, before this message comes to an end, I want to ask you for one final thing. Not another effort, not another sacrifice, not another promise that you will try harder tomorrow. I simply want you to stop carrying what has been crushing your soul. For just a moment, be honest with me, not with the people around you, not with your family, not with your friends, with me. How tired are you, really? Not the answer you usually give. Not, I'm okay. Not, I'll be fine. Not, I'm just having a rough week. How tired is your heart? Because my child, I already know. I know the exhaustion you have hidden behind your smile. I know the nights when you have whispered, "Lord, I don't think I can keep doing this." I know the mornings when simply getting out of bed felt like another mountain to climb. I know the prayers that ended in silence because you no longer had the strength to finish them. I know, and I have never been ashamed of your weakness. Never. Please hear me one last time. You have spent so much of your life trying to convince everyone that you are strong enough to handle the pressure, strong enough to carry the family, strong enough to solve every problem, strong enough to survive every disappointment. But my child, you were never created to carry life without me. That is why your soul has been longing for rest, not because you are failing, but because your heart is trying to return to the one who created it. My child, think about a shepherd carrying a tired lamb. The shepherd does not become frustrated because the lamb cannot keep walking. He simply bends down, lifts it into his arms, and keeps walking. The lamb does not have to earn being carried. It only has to stop resisting. My beloved child, how long have you been trying to keep walking when I have been reaching down to carry you? How long have you believed that asking for my help somehow makes you less faithful? It does not. It makes you my child. Please, remember something beautiful. Throughout my earthly life, people came to me because they were tired. The blind came. The broken came. The grieving came. The rejected came. The sick came. The ashamed came. The weary came. And never once did I send them away because they had become too exhausted. I welcomed them. I restored them. I strengthened them. That has never changed. My heart toward you today is exactly the same. Please don't forget that. The world celebrates those who never stop. I celebrate those who know where to rest. The world says, push harder. I say, come closer. The world says, hide your weakness. I say, bring it to me. The world says, you have to carry this. I say, give it to me. Because my child, there are burdens that only my shoulders were created to bear. The weight of tomorrow, the outcome of your future, the healing you cannot force, the breakthrough you cannot manufacture, the people you cannot change, the doors you cannot open, the answers you cannot create. Those burdens belong to me, not to you. Please hear what my word says. Cast all your cares on him, because he cares for you. Not some, not only the spiritual ones, all of them. The worries you cannot explain, the fears you never speak aloud, the pressure that keeps stealing your sleep, the questions that have no answers yet. Bring all of them to me. My child, imagine placing a heavy suitcase on the ground after carrying it for miles. The weight has not disappeared, but it is no longer resting on your shoulders. That is what surrender feels like. The burden still exists, but it no longer owns you, because now I am carrying what you cannot. Please stay with me for one final promise. There will still be difficult mornings. There will still be unexpected problems. There will still be seasons that test your faith. But from this day forward, you never have to face them believing you are alone. When you feel too weak to pray, I am still listening. When you feel too tired to keep walking, I am still beside you. When you cannot see the next step, I am already standing there. When you feel like giving up, I will gently remind you, rest, my child. You don't have to carry this alone. Because I have never asked you to impress me with your strength. I have only invited you to trust my love. My beloved child, one day you will look back on this season. You will remember how exhausted you felt, how close you came to giving up, how convinced you were that you had nothing left. And then you will realize you were never walking alone. Every step you thought you took by yourself, I was holding you. Every tear you thought fell unnoticed, I collected. Every prayer you thought disappeared into silence, I heard. Every moment you believed you had reached the end, I was quietly carrying you forward. That is why you are still here, not because your strength never failed, but because my faithfulness never failed. My child, whenever your heart begins to whisper, "I can't do this anymore," answer it with my promise, "I don't have to, because God is carrying what I can't." Say it again. When your body feels tired, God is carrying what I can't. When your mind is overwhelmed, God is carrying what I can't. When your heart grows weary, God is carrying what I can't. Let those words become the place where your soul returns whenever life feels too heavy, because they are not empty words. They are my invitation. My beloved child, lay down the burden, release the fear, stop pretending, come and rest. Not because your life has become easy, but because your Father is strong enough to carry what you cannot. If this message has spoken to your heart today, I invite you to leave one simple declaration in the comments. Write, "Lord, I'm placing my burdens in your hands." Not because those words solve every problem overnight, but because they remind your heart, who has been waiting to carry you all along. My beloved child, rest now. Breathe again. Walk one step at a time. And remember, you never have to prove your strength to earn my love. I loved you before you were strong. I will love you when you are weak, and I will faithfully carry you until the day you finally see me face to face. Rest now. I'll carry what you can't. Amen.